Well, Vladimir Putin says Russia will move forward with confidence in 2025, and he's proud of his achievements. In his New Year address, the Russian president, who's been in charge for 25 years, paid tribute to the soldiers fighting in the war in Ukraine, calling them true heroes. But many people inside Russia are struggling economically and want to see an end to the conflict.
This festive season, Moscow feels very surreal. It's happy holidays and joy to the world from a country that is waging war on its neighbour. When I ask Russians what they're hoping for most from the new year, everyone replies, for the war in Ukraine to be over. Peace is what I want, she says. For the war to end and for us to win it. This man wants talks, a negotiated settlement. Weapons, he says, won't solve anything. The festive lights are bright, but patriotic fervour, that's fading.
Well, this is Gorky Park. One difference I've noticed from a couple of years back. In December 2022, along with the traditional tree, there were giant letter Zs, the symbol of the so-called special military operation. This year, no Zs, no slogans, it's all very traditional. I think that after 3 years of war, Russians don't want to be reminded of this war. And I think the authorities sense that, which is why this new year, it's more snowmen than soldiers. But you cannot simply tinsel over a war or its consequences.
I want the military operation to be over, she says, so that we can forget all about it. Everyone becomes friends again and no one dies. My nerves are on edge. For Russians, there are economic consequences too of this war.
So even after 3 years of sanctions, as you can see, there's still a lot of food on the shelves. But it's the prices that are the problem. Inflation's a problem. So, for example, this year in Russia, the price of potatoes has gone up by 88%, the price of butter by 35%. And there, in fact, have been lots of reports of people stealing butter from shops, which is probably why in this supermarket, they're selling some butter in special security anti-theft boxes.
Few here believe they can change what is happening. The Russian people are patient, Alexander says. They stay silent. Some trust their government, but there is also fear and resignation here, ahead of the new year.
And for more on this news out of Russia, the Dean of the International College of Management, Sydney, and ANU visiting fellow Dr Leonid Petrov joins me now. Good morning, Happy New Year, welcome to the program.
Happy New Year.
So according to Vladimir Putin, quote, everything will be fine and it's time for the country to move forward. How did you react when you heard that New Year's message?
Well, I see it as a complete detachment from reality. Last year was very difficult for Putin personally and for Russians both in the country and abroad as well. Russia is now getting increasingly isolated and insulated. Just a few days ago, Russia switched off access to YouTube. Viber is blocked. Messenger is prohibited. So many things which have been pretty normal for the Russians now are problematic. Economic prices are rising, shortage of labor. People are afraid of being mobilized any moment. And on the other side, when I call my cousins in Russia, they tell me, well, visibly everything is growing. The growth of buildings, new roads, new infrastructure. But they can see this striking difference with the 21st century infrastructure is now collapsing. Russia is now increasingly isolated. When even Putin talks about great victory, independence and sovereignty of our country, it's, last year was the first time in 80 years when Russia was under attack and lost part of its territory in Western Kursk region, where Ukraine entered, crossed the Russian border and stays there since August. Russia lost its friendly dictator, Bashar al-Assad, lost his power in Syria.
And he's now taken refuge in Russia.
Yes, like many other dictators, like former Ukrainian dictators, also hiding there. And North Korean troops in Russia, obviously showing that Russia is not capable of defending its own territory, and now sending Kim Jong-un is sending another dictator, is helping Putin to simply to keep his grip on power. So I see what Putin was saying was a completely hypocrisy.
I'm intrigued by the point you made about when you're speaking to your cousins and other people in Russia, that they're seeing a lot of infrastructure, but it's also belying that infrastructure is failing. Are you getting a sense of their sentiments about how they're seeing President Putin and the Russian government?
Well, Putin has been seen for the last 25 years, and it has been the 25th New Year's address by the Russian leader, and he was talking about unity and consolidation of support. After 25 years, well, people don't have any other option but just to support him. There's no elections. It's just a travesty. There's no democratic institutions. After 25 years, he destroyed independent courts and free media. Even freedom of movement is now curtailed. People of conscription age are very strongly advised against moving overseas. And foreign influences is something what Putin, like 25 years ago, he was a pro-Western reformer. So he was seen by Bill Clinton and George W. Bush as a harbinger of the reforms in Russia. And what 25 years later we see...
He was praised then, wasn't he? The world was courting him.
Yes, well, G7 turned into G8 for a time, for some time, and then we now see that Russia is losing its both influence and respect internationally, but also domestically. People see Putin as just unavoidable evil. You know, like Christmas. There's a joke going around Russia that don't tell anyone your Christmas wish, and Christmas is actually in 7 days away. It's celebrated on the 7th of January. Don't tell your Christmas wish anyone, otherwise the bastard won't die.
Wow. We've also, because of all of those erosions of the media, of the institutions that are a check and balance on power, we also know that there was the death of the opposition leader in the year that's passed as well. Is there an alternative government? Is there any momentum or ground that's being made for an alternative government?
Unfortunately not. The opposition doesn't exist in Russia anymore, like in North Korea or Syria or Iran. There's simply no room for alternative thinking, that's why the information is now being blocked from outside to stop the influence or any freedom of expression. Alexei Navalny's murder in prison was another blow to progressive forces in Russia who don't have any other option as either to immigrate, leave the country, or stay silent and mute. Otherwise, they risk their life and freedom. And that's what we have seen last year. Perhaps the majority of progressive forces now try to consolidate outside of Russia, like Alexei Navalny's widow is trying to consolidate support abroad. And people like Mikhail Khodorkovsky has a powerful news channel which provides information about Russia for Russians and foreigners. I believe that there's still some hope, there's still some light at the end of the tunnel, but it's going to be very long.
Of course, the Navalnys used YouTube to great effect to be able to highlight their corruption that they were finding. We'll have to leave it there. Dr. Leonid Petrov, Dean of the International College of Management, Sydney, and ANU Visiting Fellow, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Stay safe and Happy New Year.
Thank you.